crafty friends, it's Sunny in Alaska, and today I'm bringing you a technique for adding aluminum foil to cardstock to create beautiful shimmering metallic designs. This is a technique that's already out there. I'm sure some of you have tried it, but I have a couple of tips and techniques to getting it very smooth and professional looking, and a couple different suggestions for how to color it. So tip number one is to use spray adhesive. I know it's very tempting to use liquid adhesive or other types of adhesive to adhere the aluminum to the cardstock, but the spray adhesive is going to give you the best coverage, and it's going to allow you to be able to die cut or cut and trim your metallic cardstock when you're done.
Okay, so you're going to take your spray adhesive and spray your cardstock with it. I like to do this outside generally, but it's Alaska and it's winter, so a little easier to film the video in here. So you're just going to spray very quickly. It doesn't take much. Kind of want to make sure that your nozzle is unclogged. It can get clogged up pretty easily, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, I like to use heavy duty foil because it tends to be just a little bit tougher. We'll start with kind of a smooth piece. I'll measure, get it about 8.5 by 11. These rolls tend to be 12 inches wide. So if you're doing a 12 by 12 piece of paper, it can work a little better. You can choose which side you want to use, the super shiny or the slightly matte side. I like both depending on the purposes. I'm going to be making some Christmas ornaments, so okay, now you notice it's very puckery, a lot of lines in it. Not very pretty looking, but we're going to change all of that by running it through the die cutting machine and basically pressing most of the folds out of it. Okay, what I'm doing is creating a sandwich layer between the foil covered cardstock and some more cardstock. I have another piece under it. I have a couple of my shims for my machine. I use a Fiskars fuse. One of like 3 people on the whole planet that use it. And so basically you're going to use whatever pieces you have to use to come up with a nice smooth surface that's going to press, basically like a letter press, when you send your cardstock through it and get rid of all of your wrinkles.
This is one of the very first cards that I made using the do-it-yourself foil method, and you can see it's very wrinkly and puckery even after running it through an embossing folder. There's nothing wrong with the crinkly texture if that's the look you're going for, but I wanted to achieve a much smoother look, so I came up with the idea of pressing the foil with flat plates to get a perfectly smooth surface.
Okay, so I've added some shims. You want it to be as tight as it can possibly be and still go through your machine. So you can see this side was pressed and this side still not. So I'm going to turn around, run it back through my machine again using the same sandwich. And press the other side.
You can run it through as many times as you need to, or add extra cardstock in order to get the pressure that you need to smooth it out. Keep in mind that any texture on your paper or any scarring on your shims will be reflected in the surface of your foil.
That's probably as good as I'm going to get. If I was a little more careful when I adhered it to the paper, kind of roll it down when you put it on, then you minimize those creases even more, but I'm still pretty happy. It gives me a lot of workable area.
Once you're done with the pressing process, you can take your foil paper, trim it, and then start adding texture and color to it. If you are going to do any die cutting with either a Cricut machine or steel dies, I recommend that you do that first before you emboss your designs. You can heat emboss the foil cardstock with embossing powder, but it will crinkle up when the metal contracts, and you will have to run it back through the embossing folder or press it with the flat plates to smooth it back out. Now that I've shared my secrets for making beautiful shimmering foil paper to add to your paper crafting projects, I hope you'll join me in my next tutorial where I'll show you how to add some brilliant colors to your designs and offer some tips on working with this new medium.